Thomas was a tank engine who lived at a big station. He had 6 small wheels, a short, stumpy funnel, a short, stumpy boiler, and a short, stumpy dome. He was a fussy little engine, always pulling coaches about. He pulled them to the station, ready for the big engines to take out on long journeys. And when trains came in and the people had got out, he would pull the empty coaches away so that the big engines could go and rest. He was cheeky, too. He used to play tricks on the other engines. He liked to come quietly beside them and make them jump. One day, Gordon was resting on a siding. He was very tired. The big express had been late. He was just going to sleep when Thomas came up in his cheeky way. "Wake up, lazy bones! Do some hard work for a change. You can't catch me!" And he ran off laughing. Instead of going to sleep again, Gordon thought how he could pay Thomas out. One morning, Thomas wouldn't wake up. It was nearly time for the express. The people were waiting, but the coaches weren't ready. At last, Thomas started. "Oh, dear. Oh, sure." The coaches were very impatient. "Come on, hurry up, hurry up. We'll be late." Thomas gave them a rude bump and started for the station. "Come on, stop dawdling, stop dawdling." The coaches were now very cross. "Where have you been? Where have you been?" Thomas fussed into the station, and Gordon said, "Hurry up, you." "Hurry up yourself." "Don't worry, I will." And almost before the coaches had stopped moving, Gordon came out of his siding and was coupled to the train. "Come on, get in quickly, please." So the people got in quickly. The signal went down, the clock struck the hour, the guard waved his green flag, and Gordon was ready to start. Thomas usually pushed behind the big trains to help them start, but he was always uncoupled first, so that when the train was running nicely, he could stop and go back. This time he was late, and Gordon started so quickly that they forgot to uncouple Thomas. The heavy train slowly began to move out of the station. Gordon grunted at the coaches. "Come on, shh, come on, shh." Thomas teased Gordon. "Pull harder, pull harder." The train went faster and faster. Too fast for Thomas. He wanted to stop, but he couldn't. "Stop! Stop! I can't keep up! You're going too fast!" Gordon laughed. "Faster, faster, faster, faster." And the coaches chuckled with glee. "You can't get away, you can't get away, you can't get away, you can't get away." Poor Thomas was going faster than he'd ever been before. He was out of breath and his wheels hurt him, but he had to go on and on and on. "Oh dear, oh 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 dear. I shall never be the same again, and my wheels will be quite worn out." At last they stopped. Everyone laughed to see Thomas puffing and panting behind. "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear." They uncoupled him, and he ran onto a siding out of the way. Gordon chuckled as he passed. "Well, little Thomas, now you know what hard work means, don't you, Poor Thomas couldn't answer. He had no breath. He just puffed slowly away to rest, and he had a long, long drink, and he was careful afterwards never to be cheeky to Gordon again.
Percy and Toby were worried. Thomas had recently had an accident. He had run into the station master's house and had caused a great deal of trouble. Now the Fat Controller was waiting for them with important news. "Here," he said, "is Daisy, the diesel rail car, who has come to help while Thomas is, indisposed." "Please, sir," asked Percy, "will she go, sir, when Thomas comes back, sir?" "That depends," said the Fat Controller. "Meanwhile, however long she stays, I hope that you will both make her welcome and comfortable." "Yes, sir, we'll try, sir," said the engines. "Good. Run along now and show her the shed. She will want to rest after her journey," said the Fat Controller. Daisy was hard to please. She shuddered at the engine shed. "This is dreadfully smelly," she announced. "I'm highly sprung, and anything smelly is bad for my swerves." Next they tried the carriage shed. "This is better," said Daisy, "but whatever is that rubbish?" The rubbish turned out to be Annie, Clarabelle, and Henrietta, who were most offended. "We won't stay here to be insulted," they fumed. Percy and Toby had to take them away and spend half the night soothing their hurt feelings. The engines woke next morning feeling exhausted. Daisy, on the other hand, felt bright and cheerful. "Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo!" she tooted as she came out of the yard and backed to the station. "Look at me," she purred to the passengers. "I am the latest diesel, highly sprung and right up to date. You won't want Thomas's bumpy old Annie and Clarabelle now." The passengers were interested. They climbed in and sat back comfortably, waiting for Daisy to start. But she didn't. When she saw that a milk van was to be coupled to her, she stopped purring. "Do you expect me to pull that?" she asked. "Surely," said her driver. "Percy does it. He loves messing about with trucks." Daisy began to shudder violently. "Stop that," said her driver. "Come on now, back down." Daisy lurched backwards. She was so cross that she blew a fuse. "Told you," she said, and stopped. Everyone argued with her, but it was no use. "It's fitter's orders," she said. "What is?" they demanded. "My fitter's a very nice man. He comes every week and examines me carefully. Daisy," he says, "never, never pull. You're highly sprung, and pulling is bad for your swerves." "So that's how it is," finished Daisy. "Stuff and nonsense," said the station master. "I don't understand," said the shunter. "Whatever made the Fat Controller send us such a feeble—" "Feeble, feeble," spluttered Daisy. "Let me—" "Stop arguing," grumbled the passengers. "We're late already." So they uncoupled the van, and Daisy purred away, feeling very pleased with herself. She could now enjoy her journey. "That's a good story," she chuckled. "I'll do just what work I choose and no more." But she said it to herself.
When Scarlary's turn came, he was glad to take out the coaches and meet old friends. He met Rusty up the line. "You know," he said, "if I couldn't see the old places, I'd think I was on a different railway." Rusty laughed. "Well, we hoped you would. Mr. Hugh, our foreman, said, 'Rusty, Scarlary's coming home. Let's mend the track so well that he doesn't know where he is.' And we did, and you didn't, if you take my meaning." Scarlary chuckled away. He liked this hard-working, friendly little engine. "There's still one bad bit," said Rusty anxiously that evening. "It's just before the first station. We hadn't time." "Never mind," said Scarlary. "It's much better now than it was." "Maybe better, but it's not good," replied Rusty. "An engine might come off there. Peter Salmon's a hand'll take care, and so do you. But I'm worried about Duncan. He will do rock and roll. I shouldn't like his passengers hurt." "What's that about me?" I'm a plain engine, and believe in plain speaking. Speak up and stop whispering in corners. Rusty told Duncan about the bad bit of line, and warned him to be careful. Ha! Ha! He grunted. I know my way about, thank you. I don't need smelly diesels to tell me what to do. Rusty looked hurt. Never mind, said Skarloey. You've done your best. He said no more, but he thought a great deal. Next morning, Rusty left Duncan to find his own coaches. Duncan snorted and banged about the yard, then clattered crossly to the station. James was there already. You're late, he snapped. I know, said Duncan. It's that smelly diesel's fault. He thinks he can teach me how to stay on the rails, and then goes off and leaves me to find my own coaches. You poor engine, sympathized James. I know all about diesels. One crept into our yard and ordered us about. I soon sent him packing. Duncan gazed at him admiringly. He didn't know that James was boastful, and sometimes didn't tell the truth. Send him packing! Send him packing! Snorted Duncan. He climbed the first hill furiously. Well done, boy. Keep it up, encouraged his driver. They were soon near the first station. Duncan was pleased. Nothing's happened, he chortled. Silly old diesel, clever me. And he swaggered along, doing his rock and roll. Steady, boy. His driver tried to check him, but too late. There was a tearing, cracking, crunching sound, and Duncan stopped bumpily. Sleepers and ballast, he exclaimed. I'm off. And he was. I warned him, said Rusty crossly. Duncan, I said, you be careful on that bit of line. But all he did was to call me names. Mr. Hugh kept turning Rusty's handle. Come on, he urged. Start up. No, Mr. Hugh, sir, I'm sorry to disoblige, but I won't help that Duncan. I'm ashamed of you, Rusty, said Skarloey severely. Think of the passengers. What are they going to do? Oh, said Rusty. I'd forgotten them. I'm sorry, Mr. Hugh, sir. We must help the passengers. And his engine roared into life. Oh, dear, thought Duncan. Now everyone will know how silly I am. Presently, Mr. Hugh and Rusty brought sleepers and old rails. Mr. Hugh showed the passengers how to use them, and they soon levered Duncan back to the line. Duncan was extra careful all day. Rusty, he whispered that night, thank you for helping. I'm sorry I was rude. That's all right. I wish all diesels were like you. Let's be friends. Suits me, smiled Rusty. We'll mend that bad bit first thing tomorrow. Steamroller. Sir Handel kept slipping between the rails, so they gave him new wheels with broad tires. The other engines teased him. Look at his steamroller wheels, they laughed. You shut up, Sir Handel snorted. You're jealous. My wheels are special, like Peter Sam's funnel. Now I'll go faster than any of you. You'll never. The engines were surprised. Sir Handel's trains were usually late. Skarloey winked. With your grand new wheels, Sir Handel, he said gravely, you're just the engine to tackle George. Who's George? Sir Handel asked. While Sir Handel was in the shed waiting for his new wheels, workmen had come to widen the road which ran for a mile or two beside the railway. They pulled down the wall, and nothing now protected the line. George was their steamroller. He chuffered to and fro, making rude remarks when the engines passed. Railways are no good, he would say. Pull them up. Turn them into roads. Skarloey had often heard that talk before, and he warned the others to take no notice. But he hoped that when the two boastful engines met, he and the others would have some fun. Don't worry any more, said Sir Handel importantly, when they told him about George. Leave him to me. I'll soon send him packing. Next morning, George was standing near the halt by the level crossing. "Ah," he said. "You're Sir Handel, I suppose. And you, I suppose, are George. Yes, I've heard of you, and I've heard of you. You swank around with steamroller wheels, pretending you're as good as me." "Actually," said Sir Handel sweetly, "I'm better. Goodbye." He puffed away. George chuffed, fuming. One afternoon, Sir Handel had to bring a special load down after the last train had gone. When he reached the road, he saw George trundling home. "Pip, pip, pip, pip." George took no notice. He trundled along close to the track. There was barely room to pass. "Pip, pip, 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 pip." Sir Handel slowed and crept cautiously alongside. "Get out of my way, you great clumsy road hog," he hissed. "I don't move for imitation steamrollers," retorted George with spirit. They lumbered along side by side, exchanging insults. No one could ever explain what happened next. George's driver says he signalled for Sir Handel to stop. Sir Handel's driver says he signalled to George. There was a crash. The brake van tilted sideways, and the guards scrambled out to find George's front roller nuzzling his footboard. The two drivers were hotly arguing whose fault it was. A policeman strolled up in time to stop the argument turning to fisticuffs. And when Sir Handel's fireman came back with Rusty and Mr. Hugh, they all set to work clearing up the mess. Neither engine had been going fast enough to cause much damage. So Sir Handel was able to bring his train on when George had backed himself away. Next day, the workmen put up a fence between road and railway and then went away, taking George with them. This was because they'd finished their work. But Sir Handel thought he had made George go away. He was more conceited than ever, and talked everlastingly about steamrollers. "Oh dear," whispered Scarlowy one evening, "he's worse than ever. I'm sorry my plan was no good." "Never mind," said Rusty. "We'll think of something else." But they had no need to do that, for some boys came and asked Mr. Hugh if they could look at the engines. Almost at once one called out, "Look, here's Sir Handel. He raced a steamroller last week. The roller nearly beat him too. It was most exciting." Sir Handel never mentions steamrollers now. Lots of people travel to the big station at the end of the line. Engines from the other railway sometimes pull their trains. These engines stay the night and go home next day. Gordon was talking one day to one of these. "When I was young and green," he said, "I remember going to London. Do you know the place? The station's called King's Cross." "King's Cross?" snorted the engine. "London's Euston. Everybody knows that." "Rubbish," said Duck. "London's Paddington." "I know. I worked there." They argued till they went to sleep. They argued when they woke up. They were still arguing when the other engine went away. "Stupid thing," said Gordon crossly. "I've no patience." "Stupid yourself," said Duck. "London's Paddington. Paddington, do you hear?" "Stop arguing," James broke in. "You make me tired. You're both agreed about something anyway." "What's that?" "London's not Euston," laughed James. "Now shut up." Gordon rolled away, still grumbling. "I'm sure it's King's Cross. I'll go and prove it." But that was easier said than done. London lay beyond the big station, at the other end of the line. Gordon had to stop there. Another engine then took his train. "If I didn't stop," he thought, "I could go to London." One day he ran right through the station. Another time he tried to start before the fireman could uncouple the coaches. He tried all sorts of tricks, but it was no good. His driver checked him every time. Oh dear, he thought sadly, I'll never get there. One day, he pulled the express to the station as usual. His fireman uncoupled the coaches, and he ran on to his siding to wait till it was time to go home. The coaches waited and waited at the platform, but their engine didn't come. A porter ran across and spoke to Gordon's driver. "The inspector's on the platform. He wants to see you." The driver climbed down from the cab and walked over to the station. He came back in a few minutes looking excited. "Hello," said the fireman. "What's happened?" "The engine for the express turned over when it was coming out the yard. Nothing else can come in or out. They want us to take the train to London. I said we would if the Fat Controller agreed. They telephoned and he said we could do it. How's that?" "Fine," said the fireman. "We'll show them what the Fat Controller's engines can do." "Come on," said Gordon. "Let's go." He rolled quickly over the crossings and backed onto the train. It was only a few minutes before the guard blew his whistle, but Gordon thought it was ages. "Come on," he puffed to the coaches. "Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. We're going to town, we're going to town," sang the coaches. Slowly at first, then faster and faster. Gordon found that London was a long way away. "Never mind," he said. "I like a good long run to stretch my wheels." But all the same, he was glad when London came in sight. The Fat Controller came into his office next morning. He looked at the letters on his desk. One had a London postmark. "I wonder how Gordon's getting on," he said. The station master knocked and came in. He looked excited. "Excuse me, sir, have you seen the news?" "Not yet, why?" "Oh, just look at this, sir." The Fat Controller took the newspaper. "Good gracious me," he said. "There's Gordon. Headlines, too. Famous engine at London station. Police called to control crowds." The Fat Controller read on, absorbed. Gordon returned next day. The Fat Controller spoke to his driver and fireman. "I see you had a good welcome in London." "We certainly did, sir. We signed autographs till our arms ached. And Gordon had his photograph taken from so many directions at once that he didn't know which way to look." "Good," smiled the Fat Controller. "I expect he enjoyed himself. Didn't you, Gordon?" "No, sir, I didn't." "Why ever not?" "London's all wrong," answered Gordon sadly. "They've changed it. It isn't King's Cross any more. It's St. Pancras." The big diesel surveyed the shed. "Not bad," he said. "I've seen worse. At least you're all clean." The engines gaped. "It's not your fault," he went on, "but you're all out of date. Your controller should scrap you. Get engines like me. A fill of oil, a touch on the starter, and I'm off, with no bother, no waiting. They have to fuss around you for hours before you're ready." At last the engines found their voices. An inspector had to come and stop the noise. They held an indignation meeting early next morning round the turntable. "Disgraceful," rumbled Gordon. "Disgusting," said James. "Despicable," spluttered Henry. "To say such things to us," burst out Donald and Douglas. "It's to teach him a lesson we'd be wanting." But no one had any good ideas. Diesel purred comfortably. He was being warmed up well before time. An inspector watched a fitter making adjustments. The wind tugged at the inspector's hat. The fitter replaced the air intake cover. "OK, mate," he said. Diesel saw his coaches waiting at the platform. He rolled proudly towards them. "Look at me, Duck and Stepney," he purred. "Now I'll show you something." He advanced a few yards, then suddenly he coughed, faltered, choked, and stopped. The inspector, meanwhile, had seen nothing of this. He was looking for his hat. "Can we help you at all?" asked Duck and Stepney sweetly. Diesel seethed with baffled fury as they pushed him back to the shed. "My hat!" exclaimed the inspector as the cavalcade went by. Bother your hat, said the Fat Controller crossly. The train's due out in 10 minutes, and you'll have to take it, Duck. Duck looked doubtful. But when Stepney asked, "Can I help him, sir?" he felt better. The Fat Controller was pleased, too, and hurried away almost cheerfully to make the arrangements. The engines and their crews made careful plans. "A good start's everything on a job like this," warned Stepney. So as they backed down, they dropped sand on the rails, rolling it firm with their wheels. Both controllers were there to see them off. "Gordon will take over from halfway," said the Fat Controller. "So get the train there. Never mind about being late. Good luck." "Don't worry, sirs," smiled Stepney. "We'll get there, and be early, too." They stood waiting, sizzling with excitement, ready and eager to be off. At last the guard's flag waved. The engines dug their wheels into the sand and gave a mighty heave. "Come on! Come on!" puffed Duck, while Stepney barked excitedly in front. Moving carefully over the points, they reached the open line. "Now for a sprint!" whuffed Stepney. "I'm ready when you are!" puffed Duck. Faster and faster they went, till their wheels were turning at such speed that the side rods were merely blurs. Under clear signals, they whizzed through Edward Station and charged at Gordon's Hill beyond. They felt the drag of their 15 coaches here. It was hard work, but once over the top, the last 10 miles were plain running, and they swept into the big station in fine style. "Hello," said Gordon. "You're early. That's one in a headlamp for old Diesel." "Have you heard the latest?" he chuckled. "Diesel had sucked the inspector's hat into his air pipe. That's why he broke down. James says he's sick as boiler sludge and sulking in the shed. Out of date, are we? Ho, ho, ho!" And still laughing, Gordon puffed away. Everyone was sad next day when Stepney had to go. All the engines who could came to see him off. The Fat Controller made a speech, and so did Stepney's controller. Donald and Douglas made everyone sing Old Lang Syne, and then Stepney and his controller puffed off to a chorus of cheers and whistles. "Goodbye, Stepney, come again, goodbye, goodbye." But what about Diesel? He'd slipped away the night before. He said goodbye to no one, but left 2 things behind: the nasty smell of bad manners and a battered bowler hat. The Fat Controller's engines. One evening, Thomas brought his last train to the junction. He went for a drink. "I'm going to the big station," he said to Percy and Toby. "So are we," they answered. "Do you know," Percy went on, "I think something's up." Toby looked at the sky. "Where?" "Down here, silly," laughed Thomas. "How," asked Toby reasonably, "can something be up when it's down?" "Look," said Thomas excitedly. "Look!" 7 engines from the other railway were coming along the line. "Hello, Ginty," whistled Percy. "Hello, Pug. They're friends of mine," he explained. "I don't know the others." Ginty and Pug whistled cheerfully as they puffed through the station. "What is all this?" asked Thomas. "The Fat Controller's got a plan," answered his driver, "and he's going to tell it to us. Come on." So they followed to the big station at the end of the line, where all the engines had gone. The Fat Controller was waiting for them there. "The people of England," he said, "read about us in the books, but they do not think that we are real." "Shame!" squeaked Percy. The Fat Controller glared. Percy subsided. "So," he continued, "I am taking my engines to England to show them. Hurrah, 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 hurrah!" The engines whistled. The Fat Controller held his ears. "Silence!" he bellowed. "We start the day after tomorrow at 8 a.m. Meanwhile, as these engines have kindly come from the other railway to take your place, you will show them your work tomorrow." Next day, as Annie and Clarabelle were going to England too, Thomas and Ginty practised with some other coaches. Thomas was excited. He began boasting about his race with Bertie. I whooshed through the tunnel and stopped an inch from the buffers, like this. Crash! The buffers broke. No one was hurt, but Thomas's front was badly bent. They telephoned the Fat Controller. I'll send up some men, he said, but if they can't mend Thomas in time, we'll go to England without him. Next morning, the engines waited at the junction. Toby and Percy were each on a truck, and Duck had pushed them into place behind Edward. Henrietta stood on a siding. The Fat Controller had called her a curiosity. I wouldn't dream of leaving you behind, he said. I'll fit you up as my private coach. She felt very grand. Gordon, James and Henry were in front. They whistled impatiently. The Fat Controller paced the platform. He looked at his watch. 1 minute more, he said, turning to the guard. Peep, 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 whistled Thomas, and panted into the station. Annie and Clarabelle twittered anxiously. We hope we're not late. It isn't quite 8. Thomas, said the Fat Controller sternly, I am most displeased with you. You nearly upset my arrangements. Thomas, abashed, arranged himself in the coaches behind Duck, without saying a word. The Fat Controller climbed into Henrietta. The guard blew his whistle and waved his flag. The engines whistled, Look out, England, here we come, and the cavalcade puffed off. The engines stood side by side in a big airy shed. Hundreds of people came to see them, and climbed in and out of their cabs every day. They liked it at first, but presently felt very bored, and were glad when it was time to go. The people along their line put the flags out and cheered them home. We are glad to see you, they said. Those others did their best, but they don't know our ways. Nothing anywhere can compare with our Fat Controller's engines.